renewable energy is the wave of the future, and we enjoyed seeing how it would work for us. I'm Al Crabb. We're in the living room of our home here on Beacon Hill. We came to Lexington in 1950 to join the faculty of the University of Kentucky, and in 1984 I retired, and we have continued to live here ever since. I was born in Bowling Green, but my parents moved to Nashville, and I finished high school there and bachelor's and master's degrees there. I had a major in chemistry, then a master's in English and library science. I lived in a home where writing went on all the time. Both my mother and my father wrote constantly. My father had about 7 novels published, a lot of poetry, a lot of articles, editorials, and so I grew up composing poems, such as they were. Many of them, of course, reflect family experiences on our travels. We have traveled a great deal, and almost every trip has produced some more poems, or what I call poems. There's a large element of nature in a great number of those. When we moved into this house, late August 1950, my wife taught in the public schools here and I at the university. We had 5 kids. So with the kids being interested also, it was a teacher's colony. And at one point, we built a little solar cooker, which we used in the backyard and attempted to cook various things on it. We at least cooked a chicken on it and heated water and other things. We were entertaining the kids and giving them that kind of experience simultaneously. At that time, I was fortunate in World War II. As returning soldiers came back to school, I took out National Service life insurance. I wasn't touching it, and when I reached the magic age of 95, they wrote me and said, "We pay out the policies on that occasion." And so I had a nice pocket of money, and solar energy looked like the very place to utilize it, and I'm very happy that I did. Using solar power doesn't pollute, it doesn't take up a great deal of space, it's as reliable as the sun, and that's pretty good record the sun has. Finally, it was the right thing to do. We can improve the way we use energy. We can use renewable energy from the sun for many years and also find ways to use water power and wind power as well. I worried a little bit about hailstorms or high-speed winds, but once the panels were up there on the roof, they have continued to work magnificently and without any maintenance problems at all. Many months, our production of electricity exceeds that of our consumption. It's not more than we use in a year-round basis, but in the summers, more than the house uses at that time, including the cooling of the house. I have probably been more active in retirement than I had really planned. I'd had blind students in class and found that they needed to have their textbooks and materials recorded. And so I started recording for the blind. I recorded for many years. While I was doing that, I learned how important recording for the blind could be. My father, in his last years, was blind, and he would sit in his preferred rocker and listen to a radio service for the blind in Nashville, Tennessee, run by the public library there, and enjoyed listening to a book. I asked the question, why don't we have such service here? The answer, of course, was, you'll have to get to work. I decided that I wanted to have something to do upon retirement, and it was 1988 when we first went on the air. The University of Kentucky radio station was helpful when we were trying to start. UK Library gave us an opportunity to use their space for our radio reading service on campus. Then later we expanded to include the blind in the community and in adjacent counties. Readers start by recording on tape, with their recordings being used later with our on-the-air programming. Then they might move to the table for live readings. Now, in our public library recording studio, they made the recording booths given to Radio I much more professional. That's a wonderful situation. It has been expanded with studios in Louisville, and they need volunteers, of course, for the excellent readers there. People who are running the service now, they're doing a fine job, and Radio I continues as a reading service today. It has been extended, reaching a large group of blind. I don't think we're covering all of Kentucky yet, but we're on the way. I'm 98 years old, haven't learned all I need to know yet. Need to go back to school again, get back in the classroom to learn more marvelous things about solar energy.